And we are live. Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my Business Basics series. We get my name on the screen and we'll get started. There we go. In this class, in Business Basics, we're going to pick up a very important skill. This lesson deals with the stages of kickoff meetings and how important they are to the success of new projects. A kickoff meeting is the first official meeting of a project, and the agenda will include introductions, statements of mission statements, and organization of teams or work groups. The implication is that there will be more meetings to follow, and the kickoff meeting could last an hour, could last a day, could last a week, depending on the size of the project. Today, you will not only learn to use new business vocabulary and functional language like introducing, like interrupting, like asking questions, but you'll also be able to bring in your own experience from meetings you've had and be able to try that out in a very practical way, because we're going to try to actually do a kickoff meeting in class. Maybe not in today's class because we have a lot of reading, but certainly in the next class in the follow-up. So let's get started with making a start. By the way, let's see who's out there. Got Angelo and Giancarlo. Okay, I'm going to give everyone just a minute because I was a little late getting started, so we'll give everyone just one more minute. Quick introduction. By the way, if you click on the link in the Verbling chat window, that'll take you to my profile page, which you see here. Okay, you can click follow to get notifications of my upcoming group classes. And on the right side, you can book a class or send me a message. If you book a private tutoring class, I will work with you on a personalized learning plan to get you to your goal. In other words, those classes will be customized for your particular needs. If you're interested, please send me a message first so that I can make time for you in my schedule and make sure that I'm completely available and that we talk a little bit about what you need. Okay, so send me a message if you're interested. Let's take a look at the material and we will get started. There's the presentation. If you want a copy of it, please click this link and you'll download it. Let me just say a quick hello before we get started. So welcome back, Giancarlo. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, John. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back, Angelo, as well.
Hey, John. Thank you.
By the way, where are you from, Angelo? I can't remember if I asked you already.
From Brazil.
From Brazil. Okay. Whereabouts in Brazil, Angelo?
Sorry?
Whereabouts? Where in Brazil?
Oh, in Salvador, Bahia.
Bahia. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And city in Brazil.
What's that?
The first city in Brazil, first capital of Brazil.
The first capital? What do you mean by first?
The first capital of Brazil was Salvador.
You mean before Brazil?
Yeah, actually, after Salvador, São Paulo, no, Rio de Janeiro were the capital, then Brasilia.
So you mean it was the initial capital?
Right.
Before, oh, okay. Bahia was the...
Bahia is the state of...
And what's the city?
Salvador.
Salvador. Oh, Salvador. Yes, okay.
Right.
I didn't hear you. Got it. Now I know my geography. Excellent. Let's see. Oh, we almost forgot. Look who we've got, Mr. Saiban. Hello, Saiban. How are you?
Thank you, teacher. How about you?
Very good. I learned geography from you too.
Oh yeah.
Because
yes.
you told me all about northern Iraq, which I didn't know about.
Yeah.
I now know that if I go there, I have to take a taxi if I want to go anywhere.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So that's the whole region where you are. Is that all
Yeah.
Kurdish? The whole region is a Kurdish area?
The majority, yeah, but the Kurdish area it's divided according to the Sykes-Picot agreement. Is divided, or let's say, split or divided on four countries: Iran, Syria, and Iraq, and Turkey.
Uh-huh.
So, but majority of them are Kurdish. We have some minority group like this.
Minorities. Minorities.
Okay, minorities. Okay, yeah. So we have some minorities group like Arab people or Turkish or Iranian people. They came to, I mean, they have been in our territory for a long time.
I was reading about this in the news. Look at the link. Can you
Yeah.
see the
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yazidi. Yeah. People. Yeah. Yazidi. Yazidi are also Kurdish, and they have been abused by ISIS.
Right.
They have been forced by them to even convert to the Islam, or they have to leave their territory. They have to escape, or otherwise they will capture their women or girls, and then they will, sell them as slaves, like by $100 or $200, and this is very unfortunate. And they have been killed by many ISIS because they didn't give up for them. They didn't convert to Islam, so they killed them. But we just welcomed them. Let's say, not embraced them.
Embrace.
Yeah, embrace them here in Kurdistan, and they are in the peace right now. Who escaped are in the peace in our territory.
Yeah, I was just reading about it because of ISIS in the news, and it's funny because in the West, the Yazidi they're in literature. Specifically, there's a writer. There's a kind of like hold on a second. It's H.P. Lovecraft. There's a writer who wrote about them. So they're kind of like, they're not really that well known, but there's kind of like a certain mysticism about these people. This is the name of the writer, one of the writers who wrote about them. So it was just strange because then I looked it up. I recognized the name in the news. So anyway, yes, I've learned a lot about geography since you've been in the class, Saiban, so I thank you for that. I now understand a little bit better what's happening in the world. We get lots of news, but it's hard to put things in perspective if you haven't been there. So even looking at a map, it's sort of not the same. Well, let's do this, everyone. We got to get back on topic. I'm sorry. We're going to work on business. And as I mentioned, the kickoff meeting, when you're doing a project, particularly an extended project, is extremely important. So today we're going to focus on a text. It is a really big text, and it's a native level text, so it's not going to be that easy for you. But it's going to be the basis of everything else we do in at least one, possibly two other classes. So we're going to focus on understanding what a kickoff meeting is and what we should be aware of when we do it. We're going to focus on that today, probably for the whole class, because this text is a little bit longer than others. Okay? But it'll be worthwhile because there's lots of great vocabulary. Plus, it'll help you think about how to approach a meeting like this when you have to take part. So, let's get started with that. First of all, what is a kickoff meeting? You've got three choices there. Actually, here what I want you to do is, give me just a second here. Well, let's just talk about what you think goes into a kickoff meeting. So everyone, let's just read one of these and give an opinion, okay? So, Mr. Angelo, read A for us. you don't mind.
Yes, a meeting to discuss who should leave a company.
Discuss.
Discuss.
That's right. By the way, I'll try to put pronunciation in the chat window.
Okay, good.
I can. Give me a second here, and I'll try to put the IPA symbols since we were just using them. Give me a second, and I'll put that there for you in just a second. Sorry, because I have to keep opening these pages. It takes me a little while. I'll put that in the chat window in a second. So that's the first one. Meeting to discuss who should leave the company. Giancarlo, can you read B for us? Remember, we're going to just develop our ideas about what a kickoff meeting really is.
Yes. The first official meeting of a group of people who will be working together on a project.
Okay, excellent. And Rohan, could you read C for us?
The last meeting at the end of a long-term project.
There you go. So, which is the right definition according to my introduction?
It's letter B.
It's letter B. It's letter B. It's the first official meeting. By the way, Angelo, you can see the IPA of discuss now in the chat window. Do you see it?
No. Oh,
No?
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to try my best with this pronunciation to give you a transcription. It'll take a second because I have to kind of manually put the symbols there. But anyway, there you can see. Discuss. Okay, so it's our first official meeting. Let me ask you something for you business people out there. By the way, hi Roberto, nice to have you back.
Hi teacher, how are you?
Very good, nice to see you. Long time no see.
Yes, a long time. On holidays.
Well, here's a question for you and for everyone. What kind of project would have a kickoff meeting? I mean, if I'm going to buy a new photocopier for the lobby, do I need a kickoff meeting? Probably not. So let's talk about what kind of project would require a kickoff meeting. Let me get some ideas from you before we actually find out in the text. So has anyone been involved in one of these before?
So.
Okay, tell me a little bit about your experience.
Okay, when you want to start a project, or when you want to buy something like a company or something like this, you have to have a kickoff meeting, right? For introducing and start the negotiation.
Okay, so if you're going to have a negotiation, you might have a kickoff meeting. I agree. If you're going to buy a company and you need to form a strategy, you need to have a kickoff meeting. I agree. Any other projects, class? This is for all of you. Any other projects come to mind that might require a kickoff meeting? Or I might ask, what's a project that would not require a kickoff meeting? Let's look what a kickoff meeting is not. So tell me a project that you think would not require this kind of a meeting. Remember, our goal here is to define what a kickoff meeting is from our experience. Can anyone tell me a project that would not require a kickoff meeting? Yes, Rohan?
Working at a, I don't know, at a store, because you will be doing the same thing every day, so you don't need a kickoff meeting.
Fantastic. So if it's routine, if it's a routine task, no kickoff meeting is necessary. In other words, if it's a routine, yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. In other words, a kickoff meeting is there to establish a routine and to establish a method, maybe for something you've never done before. And how many people, Rohan, how many people do you think would be involved in a kickoff meeting? If you had to put a number to it. 1, 2, 5, 10, 100?
I I think maybe 3 or 4.
I would say more, probably more, much more.
Okay.
Do you know why?
No.
Because this group of people in the kickoff meeting are probably managers of other groups of people. So they've got to be briefed. I think it would be more than 3 or 4. I think it would be probably team leaders. So you might have a mixture of upper level and mid-level management, I would say.
Yeah.
Because think about how much effort it takes to create something new. How much can go wrong? All right. So any questions about what a kickoff meeting is so far? Is the idea more or less clear with everyone? Yeah? If there's no questions, then we'll move forward. Okay. Yeah, okay, let's do this. Yeah, I was going to skip it, but I'm going to skip this exercise, which has you skim the article, because I don't think we have enough time to do it. But let's spend about 2 minutes or so just doing a bit of brainstorming. Before you read the 10 tips for an effective kickoff meeting, take a few minutes to think about and discuss these questions. Later, you can compare your answers. So I want you to think about your answers now so that at the end of the text, we can go back and see how right you were. So Saiban, can you read the first one for us and give me an opinion?
Okay, teacher. So brainstorming. Before you read okay, so I have to okay. Before you read the 10 tips of efficient.
No, you can go right to the first question. Go right to the first question.
Okay. Okay. How can you help to choose the right people for the project? Okay. How can you help to choose the right people for the project? Okay. I think choosing the right people will will need
will require
okay, will require the manager or the decision maker to look at the experience, choose people according to the experience that they have had in their life, in their work life, and beside the experience, he or she should look at how those people are, wise in decision making. So and how their field, or let's say how can I say their certification, it's related to a project. So if I have a project is related to the business, so I have to choose people who graduate from business school beside their experience in the work experience.
Good. So let me summarize that by saying, decision maker or decision makers choose according to experience level, just to remember basically what you said. Okay, so that's one thing. And
Yeah.
experience could be their background, it could be their work experience, maybe
Yes.
something in their life experience. There's no real right or wrong way to do it, but basically looking into their background, I think, is what you're getting at. Okay, great. Let's get a few other ideas before we read here. So Rohan, could you read the second one and give me your opinion?
Yes. Brainstorming, right?
Yeah, the second question.
Okay. How useful is an external facilitator?
An external facilitator. So first of all, what do you think that means in this case? Is it clear? Not clear?
Yeah, so that means that, for example, the company takes its business, for example, to China because it's there cheaper.
Not exactly. That would be outsourcing.
Okay.
Here, I think what they have in mind, it's actually not, maybe not so clear. What they have in mind is a person like a specialist. So someone outside the company or someone who has maybe special experience.
Okay, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I think it's very important because, for example, you see that in business all the time. Top manager of Apple leaves and goes to work in Google at Google, and maybe at Google someone will leave and work for Facebook because they
Right.
have a lot of experience, and they come to the new company. Yeah, they can teach the people a lot there.
Exactly. I'm going to summarize that, Rohan, by saying outside perspectives add value.
Yes.
That's a summary. So how useful, from your point of view, quite useful. And we're going to summarize what you said by saying outside perspectives add value. Keep in mind here that an external facilitator is not you going to another company, of course. It's hiring someone from another company to come to you.
Yeah.
Whether that's right. And that could be a consultant as well. It's not necessarily you go hire the competition, but it could be. It could be. There could be an exchange or something like that. Probably it's a consultant, probably, usually. Okay, Mr. Giancarlo, give me your opinion about the third question.
How can you build relationships within the team? Being in contact with the team is always important. Sharing information with them is always important too. Making them be part of the team and being part of the project is another interesting, important, and relevant aspect to consider, because they are part of the team and they are the company and they are also the company. Sometimes managers forget to speak to the team often.
Right.
And this is one of the key points here, or the main important points in a company, because sometimes workers or the staff, they feel they are not part of the company.
Right. Right. So,
and when you feel that you are part of the company, you work with them, for them, and by them. Yeah.
Let me summarize that by saying one word: team building.
Team building, John. Yes.
So team building is making everyone feel a part. Like you said, no one should feel alienated from the company. Everyone should feel a part. So we call that team building, and there are professional team builders that will go around and actually get people to work with each other. If you see a lot of times in TV shows or whatever, or in movies, they make fun of these people because they do crazy things. Like, everyone gets into a pyramid. You have to fall backwards with your eyes closed and your teammates have to catch you. Okay, doesn't have to be so dramatic. It could be, as you said, sharing information or being allowed to give real input into the project. But the point is building a team culture, basically. Okay, great. So we got 3 good ideas so far. Let's go to Mr. Roberto for the 4th. Read it and give me your opinion about the 4th question, Roberto.
Okay, how can you clarify expectations within the team?
What do you think about this?
I think it's important to know what is the goal of the company.
Let's call that specify goals.
Yes, and not speaking other subjects, and always talk about the goal always.
Right. Okay. I'm just going to summarize that as specifying goals, but also maybe building communication as well. Because the point is, it's if you're not discussing it, building communication. If you're not discussing it, it might not be clear. So communication skills will go in there as well. Okay, and just a quick note about a part. There's a part, and then there's a part. I think the problem there is I meant to separate it, and I wrote it together. Okay, so if I say feeling a part, that means together. And if I say feeling apart, that means alienated or separate. Okay, so I meant to write that as separate words. Feeling apart, meaning together. Hopefully that's clear. All right, excellent. Okay, we got one more. So Angelo, can you read the very last one and give me your opinion?
How should you follow up a kickoff meeting?
How should you follow it up? All right.
Yeah, I think scheduling another meetings and asking for how is the team working, and if they are reaching the goals, right? Yeah, I think it's by scheduling another meetings.
Mm-hmm. But you said also asking about how things are going. So are you talking about feedback in that case?
Yes, feedback about the goals, right? In the last sentence, Giancarlo told us about the goal of the company.
Right.
So I think that we should ask them about if they are achieving the goal. Right.
Okay. And you'll know if you're achieving goals by reaching what we call milestones. Milestones are goals achieved.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. So we're going to summarize that as question number 5: scheduling further meetings, asking for feedback on goals, and milestones. So the difference between a goal and a milestone is that a milestone is a goal you've achieved, and a goal is a goal you haven't achieved, but you want to achieve. And basically that's the difference between the two. All right. I think you've all got the right idea. As the article, the material mentioned a moment ago, there's 10 steps to making a kickoff meeting successful. Let's find out what they are. And we're going to come back to your answers at the end, and we're going to use them to see how right you were, how close you were to the suggestions in this particular article by this particular business expert. Let's skip this for a minute. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about this. We don't have time to skim. Okay? As a follow-up, you could, after you do it, you might want to go back and read the text a second time and then use these titles to replace them back in the text, and then I can give you answers for those. But let's skip that for the moment. Okay, Making a Start by Bob Dignan, I guess is how you say his name. So this is an article from Business Press. The first 2 paragraphs are just an introduction, so I'm actually going to read the introduction. And after that, about every 2 paragraphs, we have a new step in the 10 steps to making a kickoff meeting successful. So follow along, and then I'm going to go back in the order that I see you in the classroom. Here's the first 2. By the way, feel free to ask questions anytime we take a pause. Here we go. Making a start. Most people are involved in some kind of project at work. For example, for product development, organizational change, or marketing strategies. Successful projects can be a vital mechanism for reaching corporate goals. In this article, we examine one important aspect of projects, the organization and running of a 2-day kickoff meeting. We will consider the case of an international project team made up of a project leader, sub-project leaders, and project team members who come from different national business units. We assume senior management has already agreed to the project and that a high-level sponsor has been specified. Okay, so that's our introduction. Any questions about the vocabulary there? there's no questions, we're going to move on. Okay, so let's go in the order that I see you. Mr. Saibon, can you take the first 2 paragraphs, starting with project success?
Okay. Project success depend on having the right people with the necessary experience, expertise, and personalities. To get the right people, project leaders need to speak with the individuals nominated and the nominating manager together and separately. These decisions should clarify expectations about goals, roles, expertise, level of participation, and line of reporting. This is an opportunity to check the mendes and level of engagement of the person nominated. It is also a chance to get commitment to the project from the business unit manager and confirm that the team members who have been nominated have the competence for the job and will be given the necessary time away from their normal responsibilities.
Okay, good. And there's 3 vocabulary pronunciation words. You can see the first 2 already.
Okay, Mendes. Okay, there's another one. Expertise.
Okay.
Expertise.
First one, expertise.
Expertise.
Good. The second one, look at again. Not
okay.
MEND. Look at the IPA symbols.
Mendes.
Nope.
Mindest.
Set.
Mindset. I'm sorry. Okay. Mindset.
Mindset. Right.
Mindset.
Mindset basically means your emotional state. If your thinking is right, because you're not clouding your judgment by the wrong emotional state, having the wrong attitude or something like that. And there's the third one. Take a look at the third one.
Okay. Confirmation.
Confirmation.
Okay, so no, sorry. Confirm.
But it's not I. That IPA symbol that looks like the letter 3. That's an E. So it's going to be confirm. When you put the E and the together, you put the E and the R, you get an confirm.
Okay. Confirm.
Okay, good. So remember, the mistake that you're making was you were saying iron, confirm, but it's confirm. One more time, confirm.
Confirm.
Perfect. That's it. Okay. So remember, if there's any questions, just ask when we take a pause between paragraphs, everyone. There's a lot of difficult vocabulary. And at the very end, if we don't run out of time, I'm going to try to have you summarize the 10 points. Okay, so let's keep going if there's no questions. Rohan, can you take the next 2 for us, please?
Yeah. One key decision is whether to involve an external facilitator, both in the planning of the agenda and at the kicking off meeting itself. Effective international facilitators or project coaches can easily pay for themselves by focusing team efforts and reducing inefficiency. Using an external facilitator can have the following advantages. It frees up the project leader to take part more easily in the meeting. It brings external expertise into the project at an early stage, for example, intercultural team building skills or project management expertise. It can increase the energy and output of the meeting.
Okay, very good. Pronunciation was good too. I just want to point out one word that most people would have difficulty with. which is, just a second, this one. I don't know. Oh, it's a little hard to see. Can you see what I wrote in the chat window, Rohan?
Yeah.
Please.
Inefficiency.
Good, good. Notice that little S symbol, like a really long S.
Yeah.
Inefficiency.
Inefficiency.
Yeah, that's it. You said it right when you were reading, but it's a difficult word.
Okay.
Inefficiency, with the stress on the fi. Inefficiency.
Inefficiency.
Excellent. Is the text clear so far, everyone? Because there's no questions, so I'm hoping that there's no problems. If there's no questions, we're going to keep going, because I do want to get to the end of the text, and at the very end, we're going to try to summarize the 10 points. Okay, so I think we're up to you, Mr. Roberto. Can you take the paragraph on the left, please?
Building relationship and developing trust is a long process, but the kickoff meeting is a good place to start the process. It may be a short person-by-person introduction of job functions and project expectation. Alternatively, much more time can be spent discovering each person's experience and expertise, mindset and working style, and learning about the daily life and culture in their business unit. Too often, this process is given insufficient time. As a result, there is no common understanding. A good way to start the process of building relationship is to organize a get-together and dinner on the evening before the first day of the kickoff. You should encourage conversation by asking people to mix and find out about each other's job, hobbies, and business culture. At the end of the first day, include a fun input from an expert or international team working with tips on how to collaborate effectively. And then, in the evening, you could organize an event that is fun and involves collaboration.
Okay, good. Look at the last two words I put in the chat window.
Teacher, sorry, I only can see the group chat.
1 second.
Okay, I can see the window chat. Okay. Yes, trust.
Good, because you said trust.
Okay.
And this one.
Building.
Good, because I was hearing a ooh, building, but this time you got it right. The U is silent.
Okay.
Building. Building. One more time. Building.
Building.
Good. Okay, Roberto, the only problem I heard in your reading was just that sometimes you're putting the stress on the wrong word. Like the word alternatively. I think you were saying alternatively, like in Spanish, putting it on the penultimate. But it's alternatively. Alternatively.
Alternatively.
Right. There's no real rule I can give you about word stress in English, except to do lots of listening. But if I correct you, you might want to put that word in your notes. Okay, so
Okay.
Alternatively, and I'll put a little asterisk, alternatively. Alternatively. The little asterisk will go in front of the T to show you that it's alternatively. What else? Collaboration. Collaboration. So it's here. Ation. Look at this last word. Collaboration.
Okay.
Repeat.
Collaboration.
That's right.
And the other word I can see, sorry.
No, that's it. That's it. Those
Okay.
two.
Okay.
Alternative or alternatively and collaboration. Okay. The reason that you say A in collaboration is because, Giancarlo, you learned the rule last time. If you look at the spelling, why do we say collaboration, A, and not collaboration? Do you remember the rule?
Collaborate.
Why do we say A? Even though there's a letter A, that should be A, like cat. Why do we say A?
Because it's between two consonants?
No, you're guessing. Don't guess. Remember the last class when we talked about this. Remember the rule. When does the vowel say its name? Do you remember the rule from last week? I'll take that as a no. Do you remember from last week?
I'm trying to remember.
Don't try. If you don't remember, I'll tell you.
I don't remember.
Okay. If a syllable is stressed and it ends with a vowel, the vowel will say its name. So here, the syllable is stressed and there's only a vowel. There's no consonants in that syllable. Because it's not a shun, it's a shun, 2 syllables. The A is stressed. That's why it's A and not A. I don't remember the text from last week where we talked about this, but I remember talking to you about it. I can't remember the words exactly. Okay? But for example, I don't know. What's a good word? I don't know. Some people... It's just a quick aside, everyone. Sorry to interrupt the reading, but just quickly. Some people would read this word as Italian. I don't say it that way, but in America some people do, because they separate the I from the rest of the word. Most people say Italian because they put the stress ital, al, at the owl, like this, Italian. Most people will put the stress on the second syllable and therefore put the IT together. So, if you put the stress on the second syllable, it's it. If you were to put the stress on the first syllable, it would be I, and you'd put the tal in the second syllable. I just want to show you that, to show you that it depends on where you live. Your pronunciation does depend on where you live, but also, even something strange like Italian, there is actually a rule being followed. That's the people who put the stress on the first syllable, but put the I totally alone, so that there's no consonant following it. Giancarlo, does that make sense?
Yes, it's a little bit more clear. Collaboration. But
Right.
it sounds like a suffix, right? Because collabor and then Asian. It sounds like a suffix.
The suffix, right, but the suffix is shun,
Shun.
and anytime you have a shun, the stress will always be the syllable before. In all English words, the stress is always before the shun, like nation, collaboration, right? Consternation, contemplation, alienation, right? So the stress is always, look at alienation. Alienation, the stress before is na, and it's not na, it's nay, because it does not end with a consonant. It ends with the letter A. Okay, so I don't mean to spend so much time on this. I just wanted to point it out because last week we saw this pronunciation rule, and here it's a great example of it. That's why it's collaboration. Okay, any questions about that, class? If not, let's move on. We're almost there. Giancarlo, can you take the next, I believe it's the next 2.
Yes. After the fun get-to-knows, the next stage is usually the more serious business of explaining what the project is all about. What is the high-level vision? This often takes the form of a presentation from the sponsor, who then leaves the project head to work on the details of project structure and milestones. Sponsors need to inspire their members to become project ambassadors who will communicate the project vision in their organization. Project teams could work in smaller groups to draft mission statements, and slogans for the project. This allows for time to discuss the vision and can also create a greater sense of ownership of the process and thus increase commitment. After the sponsor has left, the project leader will often make a presentation to clarify specific goals. It is important to focus on the team early in the project on delivering financial targets. Secondly, it is vital to integrate the perspectives of the customers and other stakeholders into the project's targets. Thirdly, project leaders must discuss the possibility that the project's goals may change during its lifetime as new information arises. Teams have to balance the controlling and delivering of defined targets with an ability to think flexibly and to create new targets within budget, of course.
Okay, very good. By the way, just one word to repeat. Can you see the word in the chat window?
Yes, vision.
Good. So remember, this is like the S, but using your vocal cords. Gen. Good. Vision.
Vision.
Good. So you would say it wrong if you used an S, like visin or visin or vision or any of those. It's j, like measure, vision.
Vision.
Okay, good. That's it. That's the only difficult one. Okay? So far, no questions from anyone? Everything makes sense? Wow, you're all really advanced. I'm going to find out in a moment, though. Oh, this is such a long article. We're going to run out of time. Let's see if we can get just to the ending, at least, and then I'm going to give you something to work on. Angelo, you're going to take the next 3, because the first 2 are really short.
Okay. After looking at the vision and goals, it's necessary to go into more details by looking at the project structure. The organizations into sub-projects are work streams and the main tasks of each sub-project. This gives team members a holistic view of the project and enables them to think about deadlines, dependence, and risks. Team members need to know exactly who will do what and who expects what from whom. So spend time defining roles explicitly. Otherwise, people may fail to take responsibility, or they may blame others, which leads to conflict and inefficiency. International projects often face both cost constraints. Budget estimates are too low, and human resource problems. There are not enough people. At the kickoff meeting, it is important to discuss openly the resources that are needed and available. In projects with too few resources, team members will often have huge and very frustrating workloads. This may lead to them wanting to leave the project, which creates the problem of finding replacements and bringing them up to speed. Intelligent project leader from very close relationships with the senior sponsors, who are the key to unlocking budgets and providing more staff.
Look at the 3 pronunciation words I put there in the chat window.
Sorry, John, but I can't read.
1 second.
Okay.
What about now?
Yes, okay.
The last 3.
Holistic.
Holistic.
Explicitly. Oh.
Not I. Explicit.
explicitly.
Good. And the third?
Budget. Budget.
Okay, careful, because it's not a j, it's j. Can you hear the
Budget.
difference? Here, if it was a j, not even a j, we don't have the j sound in English, actually. It's not very common. So it's a d, j together. Budget.
Budget.
Okay,
Budget.
not bad. Good. So holistic, explicitly, and budget. Those are the
Okay.
three.
Holistic, explicitly, and budget.
Excellent. Okay, we're almost there. We've got to wrap it up for the reading. So we've got this page, there's 3, and the last 2. Okay, let's at least finish up this page. Saiban, can you take the last 3 short ones on this page for us?
Yes, teacher. Okay. Towards the end of the kick-off, the meeting should take along communication. Communication planning is an important part of project management, and there are 2 dimensions to a kick-off: internal team communication and marking to
Externals.
externals. If you ask a project manager where things went wrong, when things went wrong on a project, the question of communication is likely to be mentioned. We used to email too much. Meetings were not focused enough. The business did not understand the project. Take time to do training on how to speak, listen, and write efficiently across different cultures, whether national, corporate, or departmental. This training can act as a platform for the project team to create communication roles for their work.
Okay, good. Now, 2 words.
Okay. The first one, it's externalize. Externalize.
No, not externalize. Externals.
Externals.
Good.
Oh, externals. And the second one, corporate.
Let's simplify it a little bit. Instead
Okay.
of corporate, let's say, maybe it's better to say corporate. Corporate.
Corporate.
Good. So I'm going to get rid of a syllable there. Instead of corporate, we're going to say just like this. Corporate.
Corporate.
That's
Okay.
it. That's it. Okay. We've actually got to stop because there's other classes, and I know that you've got to move on, and I've got a class too, actually. Okay, we've read 95% of the article, so that's good. I'll just ask you to work a little bit on your own because you have 2 things you could do. You could go back to exercise 2, the skimming, reread the article on your own, see if you can put back the titles. That'll help you give a structure to those 10 pointers that the article's pointing out. You've also got a great exercise about the language, the 4th exercise, where you have to check the meaning of some of the most difficult words. So I would ask you to take a look at those as well. In the next class on Wednesday, we're going to have a kickoff meeting. So think about the kind of projects that you might have to work on and bring them in. We're going to see if we can have a kickoff meeting or 2 in the next class based on things that you personally have had to do or might have to do in the future. We're going to use that vocabulary, and we're also going to attach important key phrases to the stages of a kickoff meeting. Okay, so that'll be coming up on Wednesday at 1 GMT. I'll be back tomorrow from 12 to 2 GMT for speaking skills, which is a fluency class, and fluency fundamentals, which is actually a vocabulary class. I've already put the descriptions up for those, okay? Hang on to this presentation, try those 2 exercises on your own, come back on Wednesday to actually do a kickoff meeting as a group, okay? That's it for now. Have a great day. Questions or comments, send me a message in the message window. Bye for now, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank
Bye,
you, John.
teacher.
Have an excellent
Bye.
day. Thank you.